So we are Suzanne Kelman and KJ Waters, and together we have, for a few years now, we have been doing a show called Blondie and the Brit. It used to be a podcast. It still is a podcast. You can go look at it if you are a writer or you're interested in writing. And it's all about the writing process. It's for authors, but also, if you're thinking of writing. So Blondie and the Brit, that you can get that on iTunes, or you can get it on Podbean and other places. But we actually moved over to over to TikTok, because we can go live. It's less editing for us, and we'd love to be able to interact in real time and answer people's questions and talk to people, encourage them. So now we are Blondie and the Brit over here, and every Friday we're here 12 o'clock Western. That's not Western, right? Pacific. 3 o'clock Eastern. See, I nearly did it perfectly, didn't I? But there you go. So if you have questions, or you are writing, or you are learning about writing, then feel free to pop them in the comments, and we will try to answer as many as we can.
Yes. Well done.
Okay?
Yeah, you did great. You did great. But today we're talking about book covers, something that is extremely important especially if you're an independent author. If you're using a publisher, hopefully they know what they're doing, but that doesn't always mean that they do. You should know everything you can, so that if they show you a cover and you don't feel like it fits the genre or matches your story tone and all that kind of stuff, feel free to make sure they're on track. Now, you may have no choice, but the more you know. That's our public service for today.
Yeah, cool. So where do you start? So you finish your book, you've probably got an idea of the cover that you want in your head. And so, KJ, where is the first place you start with covers? You've already sort of got maybe the editing process. I mean, what's the first thing that you do? I'll tell you where I go, but you start first.
Yeah, a really good place to go is Amazon. Find books that are to you. And one of the crucial things that a lot of people forget is when you're designing your cover, most people see it in the thumbnail as they're scrolling through an online site like Amazon.
Right.
So you can't have a cover that's super busy, super distracted. You have to look at it really small. After you've made it, look at it really small and see if you can still read your name, the title, and have a sense of what's going on with the cover. Now, there's details you'll see as you pull it up closer. They'll be able to look at it closer, but what you're trying to do is grab them right away. It takes probably a second and a half for them to decide if that's a book they want, and you're trying to hit the genre. People know, whether they think about it or not, within an instant, they know whether or not that book is something that they're interested in. They know what kind of books they like, and that's a typical target market for that particular book. So you need to hit that. You need to maybe do a little research. If you've got other books out, one thing you can do is go to Amazon page where your books are out and scroll down to the bottom where they say also boughts or books similar to, and it gives you a sense of who your buyers are.
Right.
The buyers always pick the right book, but at least you know who's been attracted to your previous covers. They're your book is romance and they're other horror books, you're in trouble. You need to look at your cover and make sure that it's fitting the tone and the genre of your book. The other thing that's really important are colors. Certain genres have different colors. A romance book is going to have much more pastels, lighter colors, maybe even a little more cartoony sometimes, where a suspense and mystery book is going to have much darker colors. They're going to be blues and blacks and maybe reds to bring in some of that mysterious element. So make some notes. The other elements that are super important are the font that you're using. You may just think it's fine to use a font you might find in the interior of the book, like a Times New Roman, sans serif, something like that. Don't do that. It just shows, to me, when I see that, it looks like you don't know what you're doing, which is too bad, because you don't want that. You want to try to find an unusual font that goes with your genre. Now, if you Google fonts for mystery books, you will get a ton of information. So you can use those resources. I don't expect everyone to understand how all that stuff works. It's so complicated. A lot of it is these little mind patterns that we have, and it's hard to boil it down into actual words. So do some research. look at covers that you really like in your genre, and I save them on my computer, and if I'm designing things or mock-ups, I have them right near me so I can be inspired by them.
So you're saying, so I was actually going to say almost the same thing. The first thing you want to do before you even look at some of the other things that you mentioned, KJ, is to go and see what the market is doing. You need your book to fit right in alongside all the best-selling authors. So if you type in best-selling, books in mystery, and you, or even go to another thing that's really good is to Amazon Top 100 in a particular genre. So you could go top 100 in thrillers, and you will see as you go through them, there will be a lot that will be the same, and start looking at it. What is it that made you know this was a thriller? What are the colors they're using? And start, the very first thing you want to do is learn about what you're writing for, because I know it's really hard. You have maybe you think, oh, I really want a girl doing this in here and I want to do that, and if that isn't within your genre, you won't have people pick it up because they'll think it's something else. So
Right.
as much as you might want to have it a certain way, then really do your research, which is kind of what you're saying, KJ. So research the covers, research the fonts, and there was one other thing you said, KJ. You want to make sure that we got all of those in.
Color scheme.
Colors. Okay. So now with your books, you went with like a jewel tone, didn't you? So do you want to talk a little bit about why you chose that particular color tone and why that worked? And for a series, here's something to think about. If you're doing a series, you don't want anything that's too chaotic color-wise, because you've got to have something that's going to work through the series. Do you know what I'm saying? You want something like, so do you want to talk a little bit about that, KJ? The jewel tones that you used?
I'm a bright color gal, so none of my books are ever going to be beige, and I really don't think beige sell. Just say.
No, exactly.
I like bright colors.
And jewel tones work great. I think all my books have jewel tones. I think that's
Yeah.
what my publishers have always chosen. So
Right. And for me, my books are about hurricanes, and it's kind of dark historical fiction with time travel. And so the themes are pretty dark. You don't want to have this bright, buoyant cover with pastel block art of the book. So my first one I did in blue because that is my favorite color. You can see the clock, very bright, but you've got the dark. And this is Markham, the font is a little sci-fi looking, but not ridiculous. And then my name, and you can see on the second book, I kept the same basic elements. Purple.
Yeah.
Cover my face up. Purple, but then you see the lettering is exactly the same. And
I love the way in your series you change the clocks. Each clock is different. You still have lightning because obviously there's lightning in that, but you always have a different clock face, which I love. I think it's really clever to do that because I know that's a KJ Waters book when I see it.
Right. And you can see the fonts make the book, even though the backgrounds are different colors and they're very similar because of the font. Now, the next book, one of the trends that happened since I published the last two books is that the titles and author names are bigger on covers now. If you go to Barnes & Noble or any bookstore and you look on the bestsellers, most of the books, the font, the words are taking up a good portion of the cover. They're no longer a small title with a lot of room to put it. So my next book, this is the one I just put out, switched it to red now. I have a different clock. It's all based on the time period they go back to. But the font I have much bigger, you'll see, compared to Stealing Time, because that's a trend that's happening.
Now, would you ever think about rebranding so they all looked like that, KJ?
Yeah, that's my next step. I'm going to do some, just a little bit of rebranding, bigger fonts. This is the hardback too, which I've been very happy.
It's beautiful, yeah.
It did a really good job. This is with Amazon. KDP now has hardback. So you can see just by keeping it still had the same font and the same font for the author name. And then, the basic layout of my book is a clock in the middle and the words above and below, different colors. But like for series, so there's a couple other series since we're talking about it. Jodie Thomas went mainstream. She usually writes historical fiction. And this is one of hers in a series.
She writes historical fiction, Jodie does?
No, she writes Western. Actually,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, she's had 52 books. So, yeah, she did historical fiction for quite a while.
Didn't know that.
Then she moved into contemporary romance, modern, and now she's in mainstream. Anyway, I just wanted to show you, these are two books in her series. And you can see the font, the same thing with the names. The font at the top is the same. They both have a color block at the top on this part, and then a picture of one's a tea shop and one's a quilt shop. So you can see that they're both small town looking. They've got nice little colors, flowers, doors, very similar fronts of buildings. So anyway, I'm just showing you. The backs look similar too, even though the color scheme is different. So if you're doing a series, when you're getting your next book, you want to make sure you nail that with font.
I think what you're saying that's really important is if you are doing a series, is this is something you have to give a lot of thought to, because like I said, you need to be thinking like Jodie's. You've got the color block, then you've got small town, and it actually does get easier the more books you do, because you already have kind of a template of what your book's supposed to look like. So it's a little easier. But yeah, totally. If you're writing a series, then you want to be able to do that.
Right.
So I'm not writing a series, but
I wonder
because I am writing. Can you see that? Is that the right way around? It's not. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
But because can you see that? So there's that one. That was the first one. That was the second one, and you can see that the font, is the same. And the colors are similar, and so even though, what they're doing is branding me there. So the third book, Under Sky and Fire, same thing again. You see, they've done a little bit something different with the title a little bit, but you can tell, even though my name is at the bottom there and at the top there is definitely a look about my books that are similar. That's the last. No, that's not the last one. That's another one. This is the last one. So you can see that you can pick up. I wish I could hold them all up together, but you could pick any of my books up and know that they were my books, because the font and the style is the same. You know.
Hold one of yours up again. I want to show people. This is a very classic historical fiction book. They've got a woman in period clothing. The setting is clear. You can see that, especially in one of the other ones where that it's a Middle East.
You've got there's always the two planes on.
Two planes. You can't see it so good on the TikTok, but yes, you're cueing the historical time period. There's a woman facing away from it. That's kind of one of the cliche jokes, is that
a woman walking away from something.
Women with hat facing away, but that's okay. But
I laughed when I got this one. I called it Downton Abbey Goes to Paris, because I wasn't. This is about a woman who's a spy, and I was like, okay, maybe she would be out for the night as a spy, but there you go. So Downton Abbey Goes to Paris, but the rest of them, there's actually no person on that one, which is good because I have a male protagonist in this. Yeah. So I think for females reading, if I'd have put a man on the front, it may have put them off reading it, but it is for a female audience. Well, majority female audience. So I think putting the woman on the front, I guess that's why they do that. But
no,
my books are all professionally done, so they must know kind of what they're doing. I'm guessing what they're doing with that. So they sell. What's amazing is you can tell, if you're doing ads, you can tell if people are clicking on, here's a little thing. If people are clicking on the cover, but then they're not buying, it means you need to work on your blurb. This is a little bit different to what we're talking about here. If people aren't clicking on the cover, like if they're scrolling past that, you need to change your cover. So that's another thing to think about, is just because you love a cover, you need to get it out there. And if it's not working for you, it's worth changing a cover to get you sales. Wouldn't you say, KJ? You've changed covers for clients before, right?
Oh yeah, I've done several.
KJ is also an author. She works with authors. So
our friend, she's talking over me. Sorry, I don't know if we're glitching. Derek Bourne is a good buddy of mine. He writes all kinds of stuff, but the main thing he's doing is his book is called Dino Rift. He says, I love writing blurbs. It's all about keeping things vague enough. That's true. Blurbs.
True. Yeah, and also vague enough, but not like this happens, because when you do that, it's like it's too much information. We need that. Oh, what is this? A feel of it, the tension. So in fact, I think we'll do blurbs another week, because how you write a blurb is so important. And if you don't know what a blurb is, like what you see on the back of a book, what you see on Amazon, that little blurb, how to write that so you really hook in a reader. And there's a way to do that in a certain way. So yeah, definitely that's something to be really important as well. Covers, blurbs, very important to get people to open up and read your book. Read that first chapter. It's what you want them to do.
Derek, thank you for sharing our live chat with your audience. We appreciate that very much.
Thank you. That's lovely.
Now,
we want as many people as possible to learn, to be supported by what they're doing. And so we just offer this as a kind of a free service just to help you do what you need to do to get your work out there. I have another couple of book covers actually for my other book, just to show the difference. So this is my Rejected Writers book club. So straight away you compare that to this, completely different. We've got a fun font up here. We've got the playful teacups,
bright colors.
Yeah, bright colors. I mean, the colors aren't that dissimilar, but you can tell the difference in what they look like. Same as this one, as well. You see, fun shoes, colors, and that is telling you that this is a fun small town story, I guess. Similar to Jodie Thomas's books, that kind of fun font. So.
Right, absolutely. Derek, thank you. He's sending us likes. You are the man.
Thank you. Yeah, likes help get people here, which is great. Thank you.
Yes. Derek, his book is called Dino Rift. It's I think it's time travel back to a little bit like Jurassic Park, but it's more time travel. And he said he's almost finished with the sequel. Derek, what is the name of your sequel? Tell us. And while he's doing that, I have some tips about book covers. There are 4 things that you want to make sure that you're looking at. Obviously, title. The title of your book really is quite important because it does cue into your genre. Stealing Time, the time travel, it connects in. Rejected Writers Book Club is Suzanne's first book that she wrote, and it's telling you exactly what it's about, the book club, and the fact that it's rejected. Okay, so the sequel, this is Derek again. The sequel is called Soracore, Salvation, and there's a dodo bird on it. Oh, I remember seeing some of your artist renditions or maybe an early cover. So he's going back. I guess dodo birds were more modern than some of the dinosaurs. So maybe you're not going back quite as far. I don't know. Very exciting. He's got.
So does he go back in time and have an adventure back in time, or is it set back in time?
No, it's someone that time travels.
Okay.
Right, Derek. Tell us your little spiel on it real quick. And if you could,
have fun. Take care. See ya. Sorry, my boy's just leaving for work.
That's all right.
Cool. Okay.
So there's 4 things to consider with your cover. One is title, font we talked about, and if you're using an image, the quality of the image is really important, especially if you're putting your own covers together. If you took a picture with your iPhone and it's grainy or it isn't very clear, that reflects on your cover, and the art should match kind of what's going on in your books. Yours are done so well, Suzanne. You can tell, like I said, it's showing that it's a female protagonist, that it's the historical time period, that it's that genre, very specific to women's fiction and history. He says, this is Derek, he says, the new book focuses more on the prehistoric creatures among the modern world.
That sounds interesting. What is your target audience, Derek? This isn't for children, right? Is this adult fiction? What exactly is your audience? I'd love to know.
Okay, and he says, and now that dinosaurs are multiplying in modern day, is there enough room on Earth? Ooh, that's a good. And I
just have to drop them in somewhere like Africa. There seems to be plenty of room there. So
there's lots of room.
Alaska.
Oh no. I think it's young adult. Am I wrong, or is it? Let us know what your genre is. That sounds great, Derek. Thank you for coming on today. If you guys haven't looked at his TikTok yet, it's Derek Bourne _author, DerekBourne, and he's got some really funny stuff. He's got a great personality. Let's see. Dino Rift is young adult, and everyone has been enjoying it. My mom even cried. You made your mom cry. That's
She cried at dinosaurs. That's so cute. I love it.
Oh, your mom sounds so sweet. I love it. Okay, so we're going back to the 4 things: title, font, quality of image, and then something that's important for design is the rule of thirds. And if you've done any photography or any art, what you're trying to do is you look at your cover and you want to make sure that you're not centering everything perfectly. You want to have rule of thirds where you have either three pieces this way or 3 pieces this way, so that things are a little off center and a little up, and it catches your eye and it brings it up. Hold up one of your covers, Suzanne. Let's see if you've got rule of thirds on yours. Yeah, you can see she's off center, and so is the Eiffel Tower
and the planes.
And if you look at the horizon line, that's about a third of the way up from the bottom. So they've done a really good job of the rule of thirds. It's
Same
just
with
more
this one. Look, same with that. You can see that.
Yep.
We've got that sort of here, and she's off center. That's off center. This is off center. Yeah, that's good to know. I think on the back it's the same.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point, KJ. So the other thing that I was going to mention was the tag. A lot of people in my tag here, we've got, I'm sorry, it's back to front. It says, how do you fight for your heart when your country is at war? And there often is a question. This one is, would you betray your country for love? Oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't come up with these. As you can tell, I don't know them. And in wartime, would you risk everything to change the world? That's actually I love that tag. I thought that really was, and very appropriate for the book that we were writing there. And then the other one they came up with, a wartime secret, an impossible mystery. So this isn't a question. This is like a proper tag. So a wartime secret, an impossible mystery, a love story you will never forget. And so they all work in their own way. Either you need a tag that has a question, like they've done here, or you need something like that is a small tag. I like question tags. What about you, KJ? What do you put? Do you put tags on yours?
Yeah, I don't have them on mine per se, but I have done it for a lot of clients, and even just like 3 or 4 words to give you.
So Noelle is back. She said, "Hello, lovelies." Hello, Noelle. Well, we're talking about book covers this week and what you need on a book cover. And I know you're traditionally published, but I think this is always really good information, even if you end up, because sometimes you do want to go indie. You do want to, do an indie. And we were just talking about, so just do a quick recap. We were talking about the thirds, how you create the thirds. We were talking about font, how important it is to have font that looks the same. Oh, here's another thing that's on my book covers. I just realized, and I think they've put almost the same on each one. Well, actually, it says a completely gripping and emotional World War II historical novel. So that's like another little. So we've got the question here, and then we've also got like a little overview of exactly what this is. If you just weren't sure for sure, but a gripping and utterly heartbreaking World War II historical novel. So that's almost the same. That's emotional. And then let me see what this one is. A powerful and completely heartbreaking World War II novel. So I know that Bookouture are incredibly good at what they do. So I know they would have researched these words like heartbreaking and heartbreaking on that one, to gripping, heartbreaking. So that's another thing that you can also add. A totally heartbreaking World War II historical novel about an unforgettable World War time. So I know they've researched those words and found out what really works and which really draws an author in. So you need to think about, you can have a tag. You could also put on here, if you felt it was important, that how many books you sold. If you're an Amazon best-selling author, that is something else that you could put on there. But I know that because I know my company are really good at this, I know that they would have researched those words and come up with what. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about that as well, KJ?
No, what they're doing too is it's a hook. You're giving them enough of the story in a couple of words to hook them.
I just wanted to say something really quick. Noelle says my reveal was just today. Wow! Congratulations! A cover reveal, 6 Ripley Avenue, and tagline: one house, 8 killers, no witnesses. Ooh, that's chilling. Okay, I'm going to see if I can. While you're chatting about this, I'm going to see if I can find it so we can show everybody. So you carry on.
No, I think that's amazing. I wanted to read what Derek said. He said maybe he'll write a time rift in another book that leads to KJ's universe. Oh, that would be cool. His time travel leads into my time travel. That would be great.
Hey, you could write it together then. How easy would that be?
A crossover. That is cool. I love that.
So tell us, Noelle, you had a book review. Oh, so finish what you were saying, KJ, about you. We were talking about tags, and we were also talking about like little things that you can put on the bottom. I'm not sure what they're called, but
right. The tagline is something to cue you into the genre and to hook if you can. The other words that you have on your books too they're giving a very specific genre. World War II, gripping, you're pulling them in with the emotions. Emotions sell books. So they're really smart. On Jodie Thomas's, hers says New York Times bestselling author above her title. And then below, finding love and family where you least expect them. And that's giving you just enough of the story to pull you in. They're trying to hook you. It's very genre specific. You're looking for, obviously the word love is in there and family. So they're finding their readers by having just a little bit more information on their covers. So interesting stuff. Derek says he's not confident with front cover taglines. Yeah, it's tough. I think if you put a little effort into it, it does really help with if people, you're not going to see it when we're talking about the thumbnail. When you bring it way out, you're not going to see it. But when you get up close and you start looking at it, it's just one more reason to reach out and kind of grab that reader.
So I want to show you Noelle's cover. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Oh, cool.
I absolutely love the font. I think it's perfect. It feels like when people, you see somebody write something in blood, it kind of feels like it would be that. I think the light on that is very atmospheric. It feels, very I think the colors are really well done. What do you think, KJ? Your thoughts on that?
It's moody, it's mysterious, and that's very genre specific. I know for sure. I read a lot of those books, so that looks exactly like one I would click on because I know it's going to be some kind of a murder mystery or suspense. Nice.
And and as I said, it says an absolutely gripping. So there's that word again, new crime thriller of secrets and lies from the author of Dead Inside, which is what I think was a very successful first book. And I look at the way they've done that. Can you see that? But they haven't even added. They've gone straight into one house, 8 killers, no witnesses, all in caps, which I think is quite dramatic. I've not seen that before. And I think that works great. And then it goes into that's funny because she's a probation hostel person, and I know that's your background, which is interesting. So you wrote what you knew. Okay, and then of course we've got the praise for her. So yeah, Noelle. So you had a reveal today, and so thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. We love to encourage, and because we're talking about covers, it's so good to see what different people are writing. So you're right. I know straight away looking at that what that is, and I'm probably going to be too scared to read it because I don't do great with thrillers. But yes, in fact, saying that, I am writing. I'm reading it. It's not I don't know what it's called, but it's a thriller where what's the one that we talk about?
Unreliable.
Gone Girl. It's that kind of thing. I'm reading one of those, and but I'm sorry. Carry on. I'm blurbing all over the place here. So.
You're blurbing all over the place.
So yeah, that looks good, Noelle. I think that's going to be really cool. I think that cover's going to do really well for you. I think it is, and I would love to see what that looks like lined up with other thrillers, because I bet that really stands out. I bet the 6 really stands out. And was there a particular reason that you chose the number 6? I'd be interested to know. So
yeah, what's the title of her book? Give us the full.
6 Ripley Avenue.
6
Rapley Avenue. Yeah. And so that's interesting, because I think of Ripley, Believe It or Not. And did that go into your thoughts on that, Noelle? Because a Ripley, Believe It or Not is like, is it true? Is it not true? I wasn't sure. And you may not have had a lot of, I know this is, you may not have had a lot of control over your title, because this is, maybe, I'm not sure who you're published with. So give us more info, Noelle, so we can share it with other people. That looks great, though. I think that looks really good. Nice cover.
Very good. I have some data from BookBub about the genres and cover designs. Would you all like to hear some of that? I've done some research.
Yes, please talk about that. That would be really interesting.
So, and I have several genres. I'm just going to give you, this is what BookBub says that readers in these particular genres, it's very focused on what the readers expect. So for mystery genre, this is the data from their ads on BookBub. Okay. Mystery readers love cover designs with cats and picturesque properties.
This is mystery writers, now that you
cozy mystery. They didn't
I was going to say sounds like cozy mystery. Yeah.
Nicole's cover was mystery, and there's no cute little kitty on there. Trying to find one. Oh, here's one. This is a cozy mystery by Kim Harris. You can see there's a
we know Kim
little doggy on there, bright colors. So yeah,
that's very similar to her theme though. All her books are kind of like that. So
yeah,
that's why she went with that. So yeah. So carry on. What else? So for mystery, we need a cat and we need a pretty little scene.
Picturesque properties. Successful covers have featured everything from palatial estates to quaint library interiors. So some of it is women's fiction. That's kind of what you write in. It can be the historical or not, but here's what it says about their cover designs. The beach is a popular setting among readers in general, but our women's fiction subscribers seem especially receptive to oceans, calming waves, and white sand. I'm definitely
interesting.
I found 2 beach books yesterday as I was looking for another book, so I'm that little there.
You were there. You were there. Market. Carry on.
Market. Of course, I actually read them yet. But anyway, contemporary romance, that's modern day romance. This is what their cover designs according to BookBub. There's something about the winter holidays that makes us want to curl up with a sweet read. For contemporary romance subscribers, snowy landscapes and Christmas elements perform particularly well. If you've seen a lot of the big authors have, I know Jodie Thomas, almost every year she has a new Christmas book coming out and has, I don't know how they keep finding titles with the word Christmas in it because it's hard to keep shifting that around. Suzanne has one.
I don't have one of mine. I was going to say my Christmas book. I don't have it, but you remember when we would, in fact, KJ designed my cover for my Christmas book and we put all those little sparkles on it. And we really went over the top with that, but we didn't have a landscape. We had a cake because it was a Christmas wedding, but I haven't got a book on me, unfortunately. But yeah, we looked at all of that, didn't we, KJ, about getting that feel for it?
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Now here's thriller. Now that's Nicole's book is probably more according to their ad styles, more, when they do the ads, they have a little different arrangement than Amazon. So they've narrowed it down differently. But thriller covers, bold title fonts like Nicole's. They perform strongly.
Noel, you mean?
Noel,
I'm sorry. Noel? Yes, okay.
Noel. Bold title fonts perform strongly in this category of action-packed plots and tough protagonists. And what they don't say is that a lot of blacks, reds, golds, and those color tones. They didn't say that, but that's what
that's for thrillers.
Well, yeah. Historical romance designs, and yours aren't particularly romance, but you do have the historical elements. Covers offer an opportunity to show off sumptuous period details. So a beautiful gown. Sumptuous. And our historical readers especially love seeing the gorgeous dresses of bygone eras. So
well, that's really good to know, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you're at women readers for the most part. And so beautiful gowns, you can see usually it's a female face as well. Sometimes it's just, part of it, but you can see that who the protagonist is, you're pulling them in. And then the background, like on your covers, are very period specific or location. Well,
yeah, that's really good to know. I love that. That's good to know as well. Noelle, so you just did a cover reveal today. Do you have some sort of idea of what you're going to be doing now? She said they chose it. They chose the cover. They did UK and US cover test. I chose Ripley After a Killer. Okay, there you go. So yeah, I think that so for anyone who doesn't know what a cover reveal is, I always like to think like you've just arrived, you're halfway, you're just writing a book. A cover reveal is something you can do to tease your audience. So you put the cover out so that maybe, you're not going to actually have the book launch for another couple of months, which is the way to do it. And in between the cover reveal and the launch, then that gets people excited and they can be ordering that whole time. It always makes me laugh when we put a cover up and I'm still editing the book, and I think people are just buying a photograph. I'm not the book's not finished. They're buying a photograph, basically. But it's like, that's another way to get your audience excited. In fact, in this series, we're going to be doing all the things you need to do around launch, like what you do 3 months before a launch, what you do 2 months before a launch, what you do more afterwards. And it is changing a little bit, because I'm finding that after launch is almost more important now than before launch used to be. Like, just because of the way social media is, just because people want to be able to buy, I find that pushing a book, like, it's not like it used to be. You'd have this big thing, this big party, the book would go out. It's not like that anymore. I mean, this book here did pretty good at launch, but then it kind of disappeared. And then like 3 months afterwards, it went on sale on Audible and then really took off. Yeah. So I'm really noticing that as a trend, like, and that's also very encouraging. If you don't have the numbers you expect at launch, do not give up. Really be doing other things as much as you can, Amazon ads or BookBub ads, anything like that, and your newsletter stuff. You should always be pushing. Definitely, if you can get like a Robbins Read giveaway or a BookBub giveaway, that will definitely push your books. You know. Okay, what did she write here? She said the same. I have copy edits dropping July 5th. Yes, she's same as me. I haven't got my cover out yet, but I'm still doing the edits right now. So I'd be, it always makes me laugh, when you go to Goodreads and you'll see a 1-star review, you'll go, what have you read that you've given me 1 star for? Because it's still on my computer.
Right. And that was an early draft if you did.
I was going to say, I don't know what you're reading, because I'm still writing the thing. So
that's terrible that you've gotten bad reviews before it even hits the market. That's crazy.
Somebody told me that some people on Goodreads, they use the 1 star, like, instead of like, you can click you want to read, they'll put a 1 star in there because it takes them back to there. But that doesn't help no authors, I can tell you. Please don't give us 1 star just because you want to go back and read it. We're glad you want to go read it, but
yeah,
so good.
That's what the to read list is for on Good.
Exactly. A lot of people have found that switch.
Continue, because it puts your whole rating down. If you get a 1, it pulls your 5 down. To a 3.
So we've covered the title, we've covered the font, we've covered how to design your cover. What about cover designers, KJ? If you are publishing your own book, and I think I actually would encourage all of you, I know you can go to Amazon and create your own book cover, but I'm begging you not to do that unless you are really, really, really gifted, because I can tell an Amazon do-it-yourself cover from like 500 pages. And you want to go to some sort of book cover designer. So talk through what you look for in a designer. I know you design covers too. You actually have a business that does that. But tell me about what you look for in a design and a cover designer, and what to do for that.
The biggest calling card would be the covers they've done previously. Do they know your genre? Have they figured out the font shouldn't be the Times New Roman? Do they have an interesting, a lot of them, some people I've seen that are super good at like an urban fantasy, where you have like little colors, you've got a brightness about it that's different from some of the other colors to relay some of like the magical elements. And maybe they're great at those, but you're a thriller author and their thriller covers are crap. You got to be sure that they understand your genre. I suppose price is one thing. I mean, covers can be extremely expensive or very inexpensive, but that doesn't always mean it's not a good cover. You can pay a ton of money. You're probably going to get someone who's done a lot of design work, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you've gotten some covers off of they have like for 99 cents, they pre-make them.
Yeah, I got $100 covers and they've been good. I mean, I had them do some work on them. But for other stuff that I have, but yeah, price isn't always what I'm looking. I'm same as you. I want to see what they can do. I want to see all the ideas, and also if they're willing, how many times are they willing to do changes? And you need to be fair with your designers. KJ's had this experience. You might want to share a little bit about that, how to work with the designer, because you want to make sure that you want to have a clear idea, but not like an idea that someone's going to try and get into your brain and totally reproduce, right? So you want more of a general idea. So you want to talk about that as a designer from your point of view?
Yeah. Some people come and they have no idea whatsoever. So it's okay to trust your designer. Like, you've hired them for a reason. If you've done a little research and make sure that they're really good at your genre. Some people come in, they're so stuck on their cover, but maybe it doesn't fit the genre. The color schemes aren't attractive in that particular genre. There's cues that you really need to follow. And so I think that's one of the big mistakes, is that you're sure what your cover is going to be. And if it really doesn't match other things, you really need to put your trust in someone who understands the market better. Now, sometimes you do know better. At least you know what your story is about. But it's a really good idea to have a conversation with your designer, telling them what what your book's about, maybe some element covers have inspired you. It really helps too. Onto Amazon, and 2 or 3 covers in that genre that I think are cool. I don't copy them per se, but it gives me an inspiration in terms of color schemes, or how to design with, if there's some cool way that you can show the story without it being too cluttered. So I think that's important, to just have that conversation. Don't just come in and make sure. The other thing really is important. If you hire a cover designer and they're only making one edit, and say they're way off base to give you their work, you're kind of in trouble, because you paid that money and you can't get the cover to where you want. So you want to make sure that they're willing to work with you. As a designer, though, you also can run into, you're only paid a fixed amount, that edit after edit after edit. I've had some of my covers I've designed for people who are super detailed, and they're like, fix the kerning. You do it like 3 or 4 times. Kerning is the spacing between letters, which is important. But for 5 or 6 different rounds of edits on that, you're kind of like, is this really adding value? And it can eat up a ton of your time. So be cognizant of that, and be kind to your designer,
and ask them right at the front, how often, how many, how many edits are you willing to do? Because that's important to know. But also, like, I think all the things you said is valuable. And it's interesting, because we've talked in the past, the people that tend to be really specific are not, then they're not always seeing it as it should be. Like you're talking about, they're not thinking about the genre. They're thinking about what they like. And the trouble is, what you like might not be what your audience likes. And so it's really important to trust the designer with what they're doing. Get recommendations as well. That's another thing you can do. And I have had some great covers, some great $100 covers, so you can get a cover that's that cheap.
Right. And if you're doing like a children's book, or a lot of the fantasy covers, you might have to hire an artist to actually make it for you. And that's quite expensive. So as you're coming up with your work plan and your budget and everything, keep that in mind. Some genres are going to end up costing you. Now, there's something you can do called Kickstarter. You can do a Kickstarter to help you raise money, so that you give them like an early ebook or paperback, or maybe some draft copies or swag or something, in exchange for raising money to help you pay for some of these costs. We just started a Kickstarter for my writing group. We're doing an anthology. And I should put up the video on my TikTok account. I'll try to do that later today, just to promote the Kickstarter. We're just trying to get money to hire an editor and do the interior, all that kind of stuff, and the cover.
So we've done the front part of the cover, and then I think it's important just to talk about the blurb. Even though we're not going to go into detail of how you create a blurb, I'd love to do that in another video, because the specific things that you need to hook your reader in. But I noticed that with my team, they're wonderful. They actually do quite a detailed blurb on the back here, and they do highlight. You notice they highlight certain parts of it to draw the eye. So there's certain things they want you to know about. They've highlighted the female protagonist, the love interest. If circumstances mean they were ever separated, they will find their way back to each other. And I guess what they've done with that now in England, so we know setting, we know characters, and we know a little bit about the plot. So I think that's really important. I don't know if they do that on all my books. Yes, they do. But yes, but so it's important that so if somebody looks at your blurb and that's all they read, that you want them to know exactly what this book's about. So do you highlight parts in your books? So in this one, in the last two, they've only just done the protagonist, but they have given us the setting. So what about yours, KJ?
Yeah, well, okay, so on the back, and this might vary by genre. Here's the back of mine. I've got the name. I have a quote from someone. I have a quote from someone named Suzanne Kelman. I don't know who, if you know who. I have the blurb, and then I have a little look for the next book out soon, and then the cover, and then this is a quote from an amazing reader, right? A very clever concept, nicely executed. So there's a lot you can do. Now, if you're doing a nonfiction book, it's important to have, you're going to have a little different cover. Like this is one about a middleweight fighter. This is by Frank Sykes, The Story of Laverne Roach. You're going to have a little bit more specific cover. The black and white kind of shows you that it's historical. And on the back, if you're doing nonfiction, you're selling your book because you're an expert on it, or something about you. You're a newspaper reporter, and this is like research that you found. So you're going to have information about the book and then about you. Some fiction authors do that as well. Let me look and see if Jody. Oh, here's one. Have you guys ever heard of A.G. Ward? She's an amazing lady. She does young adult, beautiful covers. Look at
gorgeous. This. I love that, and I love the feeling it has like a dreamlike quality to it. I don't know what her stories are about, but they feel dreamlike.
This is a retelling of. She's done a young adult fantasy, and this is a retelling of Sleeping Beauty. It's called Splintered. So she's kind of taken a lot of the different books, but on her back you can see how dark and mysterious the back cover is.
Yeah, and she's got different colored fonts there. That's just great.
Right. And she's got actual pictures of the covers of her other books.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So you'll have your publisher's name. She's got a blurb and kind of a little intro into the fantasy world that she's created. So it's very interesting. She also has the interior pages that are beautiful. This is the first page.
Oh, wow, that's her end pages. Wow, they're gorgeous.
Isn't that pretty?
Amber, who's here, she said, "Hi, I literally just ordered those exact books. Wow, well, it's working."
These
Tell us, Amber, what attracted you to those books? What we're talking about, the color of the books. Have you read them yet, KJ? Are you reading those, or are you just helping out with the author?
She's a really good writer, and she comes to our book festivals. We had one last year, and she's the one that drew the biggest crowd. People, girls especially, they're like clinging her book as they find it. And it's so.
Well, people clinging to your book, KJ.
Actually, he did. She took both my books and was holding them the same way.
Oh, that's so cute. Tell us, Amber, and tell us if you haven't read them, you just ordered them. Tell us what attracted you to them. We're talking about book covers and what we do with book covers. I like the content, and the covers are gorgeous. Have you read her before? Because KJ was just talking about the fact that she thinks she's a really great writer. I haven't. You say it's what is it? Fantasy? Is it what is it? Realism?
Young adult fantasy.
Yeah, totally. Very popular genre right now. Is that? No, I actually have not. So, Amber, you should let us know. Come back in and let us know if you enjoyed them. We're here every Friday between 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern, and we talk about books. We talk about different things. So come and let us know if you enjoyed them or if you're enjoying them. It'd be fun. Maybe she could come on and talk to us. She might. Is she on TikTok?
A.G. Howard probably is. This is a younger audience. I would love to ask her. She's coming to our book festival too, so maybe I can.
In September.
And
okay. It would be fun to talk to her because and now is she traditionally published? Are those traditionally published books? Yeah. And which company is that?
She recently switched publishers because they were. I can't remember why. She told me that she was having trouble with something about how they were being printed, or I can't remember. Oh, I think that her publisher quit doing the paperbacks. They just did the ebooks, and she's like,
"Wow,
not good for me," because a lot of people buy the books.
Well, I think there's been a big uptick in paperbacks and hardbacks since TikTok. Honestly, I just think that is the TikTok crowd is really encouraging that. Beautiful.
Your formatting. I mean, this is another really important point is if you're doing your own books, interior formatting is, you wouldn't think necessarily it is that important, but it really is. When you open up, especially we're talking about paperback, especially when you open up a book and it looks like a Word document that you pulled off your computer that does not sell fiction,
Books,
or
no.
so you want to make sure fonts are unique, that you're designing. This is beautifully done. That you have a little bit, your chapter titles are.
I
Um,
love it when I have books like that because it feels like you really enjoy it. It's all part of the pleasure,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
it's like they really put a lot of effort into it, and I do think okay. So in terms of tools, if you have a Mac, there's something called Vellum that Suzanne
Yeah, that I was
uses.
going to say that's what I used in my self-published book was Vellum. I like it. It's really easy to use.
And I have a
I
PC, like,
actually I actually paid somebody to do the work for me. I didn't really feel like, but it was definitely done in Vellum, which is gorgeous.
and that's actually a good thing, because formatting can take you a ridiculous amount of time if you don't know what you're doing, especially if you're
Yeah.
trying to word and the pagination is weird. It's not made for putting the documents together. I just bought a program called Atticus. It's by Dave Chesson. He does the Kindlepreneur.
I
If
was
you
going to
want
say
to
Kindle Banana guy.
Kindlepreneur guy, I am using it on my formatting, and I used to have to do the paperback is one file type, and then to kind of start over in for the ebook. But with Atticus and Vellum, as you're designing one, you just save it as a different file format. So it's super handy. It saves a ton of time. Um, I just want to look at some of these other interior. Remember we interviewed.
Oh yeah. You bought her book. That's so cute. Emily Carpenter. We interviewed Emily on our podcast. If you want to go and hear that interview, I always thought that was such the best title ever. Don't you?
Yeah, Burying the Honeysuckle Girls, a novel. Doesn't that make you want to know what happened? And you can see, I just want to pull it in close. You can see there's plants, there's like, it's pretty, but it's dark. It has a little bit of mystery to it, but the font is beautiful. The placement of the author name is a little unusual too, to show off the character, the female character facing away.
Emily's a really sweet person too. So I was going to say that's interesting because that's yellow again. I don't know if you're still here, Noelle, but obviously yellow is a color that works really well for this kind of book.
Yeah, this is a mystery as well. I guess it's more cozy because it isn't like police procedural. Uh,
No,
but you see, I think they did a really good job on the back. You've got the yellow cursive font here, and then the rest for the blurb.
and
That's
she was with Lake Union, so yeah,
anyway. Oh, I was
good. That's really interesting. Interesting, when you look at all you don't think about it when you're buying it. It's all subconscious, but it is
just
important.
nothing.
Is that also Emily's book?
Yeah, this is Emily's book. Just the interior format. You can see how nice the chapter title is. It's nothing
Yeah.
fancy. It does make the book more enjoyable to read and more.
Let me have a look what they do in Rejected.
Just because we can. Oh, here's Camille. Okay, this is classic.
Okay, yeah, here's Camille. Yeah.
You've got your period dress. You've got your moody colors, the blue in the back. The font is excellent.
Yeah, that's a cute book too. Can you see the back of that book, KJ?
Back of the
Camille,
book,
she's got some beautiful books. Is that this one book she wrote? Yeah, and I
like,
look at that we've got that third again we were talking about. You can see that railing off to the bottom and the going into the mist. And so, what was the name of Camille's book? Yes,
we interviewed her on the podcast as
yes,
well.
she's on our podcast as well.
And if
Yeah,
you
a couple of
recall,
times. In fact, I think didn't she come and join us for a summer thing we did as
oh
well?
yeah,
I think we interviewed her a few times. In fact,
yeah,
she's just published her own book. I wish I could remember the name of it. Something to do with Jane Austen. I think she did some sort of Austen-ish book
this
recently.
book was, if you remember the interview, she was inspired by Eleanor Rigby, the Beatles song. And
Was that this book or was it the one before? It was this book. Okay.
I
Yeah.
think this one, and what it is that she's writing the love story between the priest and Eleanor Rigby, which is what that
Yeah,
whole.
yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
She took her manuscript to the Paul McCartney concert
That's right. And
with,
she showed it him. That's
and
right. I
he
forgot about
read
that.
it on stage for her. So
Yeah,
listen
that's kind of
to our podcast
cool.
Some great stories on
Yeah, if
there.
you want to hear that story, you can go to our podcast, Blondie and the Brit. It's on Podbean or iTunes, so Blondie and the Brit, and you can. And her name is Camille
Okay, I'll spell it. Camille
DeMaio.
DiMaio, Dimaio.
Yeah,
So
and you can hear that great story about Paul McCartney, which was really a fun story.
it is. Jodie Thomas was on twice. She's got some great stories. Kim Hunt Harris was on.
I think she was on 3 times too, because she did the summer thing with us.
Yeah, and then we've had Linda Brody.
Oh yeah, Linda Brody.
Cowboy.
So let's talk about this cover. Why does this cover straight away? Obviously, we know this is Western or a cowboy. What's name? I love the use of the font, different type of font there.
Yeah, and you can. A lot of the bigger name authors put their name bigger than the title. Linda Brody, people know.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's interesting to know. New York's Time best-selling author. So that we were talking about earlier about if you do have something like your New York's Time best-selling, that is something that may also sell your book. So you want to get that on there.
Right. So here's what we've got on her cover. I'll just read it for you. Linda Brody, heroes step right off her books and into your hearts. Oh, that was a quote by Jodie Thomas.
Oh, there you go. They're friends.
Under between Linda and Brody says New York Times bestselling author, and then under the Men of Legend, that's her series. So you can see very. And To Love a Texas Ranger is the title of this one.
Yeah, and I noticed they used yellow again, but a different shade, so that's more, I guess, desert-like or dusk-like. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful spine. Absolutely gorgeous.
The dude is on the spine. I think that's
they want to get you in with that good-looking fella.
The spine text goes vertical, but this is horizontal, so it looks. I mean, you could read it anyway. And then we've got kind of a neat little back cover too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, just thought that was. Look at her interior.
Well, anyway, so it's getting towards. It's 1 o'clock already, KJ. Oh, I was going to say, just letting you know that we're getting towards the end.
Okay.
So, anything last thoughts before we go on book covers?
I don't know. I think we covered a lot.
If you have questions, don't find us on Twitter. On Twitter, I keep saying Twitter. On TikTok, I'm Suz Kelman, SUZKELELMAN. Go follow me, and then we can message back and forward if you want to. Same, and KJ Waters is the same. KJ Waters 227.
That's right.
And there you go. And you can just message us if you have questions, and if we can help, we will. And it feels like a minefield when you first go in, but once you recognize that there are certain things that you need to do just to make it look good, and then fit it within the genre, it's actually quite easy. It's a science. So it's not as scary as you might think it is, but you have to be willing to fit within the genre that you write for. That's really important. So thank you for the likes, whoever that was. I got some likes.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing I really like to do is if you have a cover and you just want my advice, if it's something quick where I can just be like, oh, I would make the font bigger, or whatever edits, feel free to hit me up either on TikTok or Twitter. I'm all over the place. I'll give you some honest feedback. I'm very nice, but I'll tell you what I think. You don't have to listen to my advice either, but if you just want a second opinion, or if you're designing one and you want to decide between two, hit me up. I love doing that. Covers they excite me a lot. I love making covers.
Well, I must admit, I choose books by the cover. I know you're not supposed to, but if I don't like the cover, I won't buy it. I don't. I'm like, I really. In fact, we talked about this. I finished Love Hypothesis, which is YA, and I put off buying again that forever because of the cover. I didn't like the cover. It was very cartoony, and I didn't like the way it was, but I loved the story. So it just proves how important a cover is,
It is. And like I said, you have like 1.4 seconds to convince somebody by your cover alone. As they're scrolling through Amazon, you have such a small amount of time. You have to convey a lot of information in like a millisecond. So.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We hope this was helpful. We'll put this out on YouTube as we do. And we will also put a small 10-minute segment out on TikTok, so you can look back at it if you want to. What are we going to do next week? Did we decide yet? I think we wrote it out in our titles, didn't we?
I have a timetable. Let's see. Next week. Wait, I have it right here somewhere. I have too many things.
In case you are writing. And if you have friends who are writing books you think this would be helpful to, don't forget to let them know. Every Friday on TikTok, 12 o'clock Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, we talk about writing. So
yes. Next week, July 1st. Is next week July 1st? Oh, God.
Yeah, next, is it? Yeah.
We're talking about blurbs. So we started a little bit.
And I'm going to be talking to you from London because I'm actually going to be in London by then.
Oh, that's exciting.
Blurbs are really important, though. Make sure if you want to know about blurbs, very, very important part. Next to a cover, I think a cover title, very important. But next to that, very next thing is blurb. So, thank you, Noelle. It was lovely to talk to you again. And I want to hear more about how that goes with your reveal. I'm excited to see how your book does and if it does well and if you get a good follow. I think it's a great cover. I think it's going to do really well. I really do. I love the tag. I think it's perfect. Yeah, it totally draws me in. So I think you're going to do well. So next week, if you want to learn more about blurbs, and I'll be chatting to you from London as long as I can get all plugged in and stuff. And it will be, I wonder what time it will be for me. Oh, so I guess it's like 8 o'clock there. Noelle, something like that. She's in London, so she's in England. So yeah, I think it's around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So hopefully I'll still be awake.
I know. So well, you'll be Seattle time. So.
That's true. I'll be on Seattle time, so I'll be wide awake. All right, you guys. So thank you so much for joining us again. Come and join us next week. We've got a whole series of self-publishing that we're going to be doing to help you figure out some of these things. You don't have to do this alone. We will support where we can. And next week will be blurbs and synopsises and how to do those. I actually have a little formula that I use that I learned when I was screenwriting to get people hooked in quickly. I'll try and sort that out for next week and bring it with me to England so I can talk about that. And if you've got any questions, just hit us up in TikTok. And we hope to see you next week. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Hello, this is Blondie and the Brit of Writing, Publishing and Beyond.
Join us on TikTok on Fridays, 12 p.m. Pacific,
3 p.m. Eastern. See you there.